Live from Boston, it's Keep, Pound, Den.
Thursday, March 7th. Welcome back to the Keep, PounDENN podcast. Part of the Riot Network, powered by our friends over at Ortho Carolina. I'm your host, Den. You can find me on Twitter and all the fun social networks. Got to give a shout out to our sponsor, though. Again, powered by Ortho Carolina here. Check out the rest of our friends here on the Riot Network. That would be One Day Contract. It is what it is. Roaring Riot podcast, and also the new podcast from London, or the UK, I should say. They're the greatest British drafting show with our friend Vince Richardson. So a lot to get through tonight. We're gonna we don't have Chris with us tonight, but we do have my buddy Bobby at Tacos and Slurpees. You guys know who he is. Too bad Chris isn't here tonight, because we could have talked about some getting in the sin bin with Chris from those Hurricanes getting dealt the L from the Bruins. I know. Sorry, guys. But, hey, check us out on Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, however you listen to your podcasts, and, of course, over on theriotreport.com as well. We're going to pull up the board tonight. We're going to have some fun. But, hey, before we get to the topics, we'll throw them up here on the right. If I can find my, where are my topics? There they are. One sec. There. Should probably be ready for that, huh, Bobby? Before we get to that, though, let's get to the news of the week. It is National Cereal Day today, Bobby. And you had a fun little interaction there with the Panthers today. And I can't let this go without calling you out for it. Because let me just pull up that graphic first of all. This is what you saw earlier from the Panthers Twitter. National Cereal Day, a day. Again, of course, Christian McCaffrey, Greg Olson, father-son liking the Cinnamon Toast Crunch together. I've never had Trix. They're for kids. I've never had them. Are you a Trix fan?
When I was a kid, yeah. When I was a kid, for sure.
Frosted Flakes, cool. I'm more of a Crispix guy. Our buddy Salesman apparently was too. But then you come in hot here, Bobby. I have it up on the screen with Raisin Bran. And I have to ask you, like, that has to be a new thing, right? You haven't had Raisin Bran your whole life.
I've had Raisin Bran my whole life, and only a hater would say they haven't.
Oh, boy. I mean, so people say that, when you drink your coffee black, you're a psychopath.
Right.
I think Raisin Bran falls into that category, too.
Oh man, Raisin Bran can't fall into it. Can't fall into that. Raisin Bran is here to help keep you healthy. Coffee destroys your teeth. Here's the thing. Raisin Bran does you a lot of favors. It keeps your fiber increased and where it should be, and it keeps you regular going to the bathroom. It does nothing but help your life.
Oh, we're talking fiber now. Okay.
I mean, it's needed. It's needed. I'm sure Cam Newton gets a good dose of fiber weekly, as well as Luke Kuechly and the rest of the guys. I mean, it's here to make you a better person. Coffee doesn't make you a better person. It makes you an energetic moron. I
drink like 4 cups of coffee. What are you talking about? You don't drink any coffee.
I don't drink coffee, man.
Okay. What about like tea?
I don't drink tea.
Are you a Red Bull guy? You just stay away from the caffeine?
Red Bull is one of the most disgusting drinks I've ever had in my life.
Okay, so you're just naturally up and at 'em.
I mean, maybe that would just explain why I'm always tired. I don't know, but I can't do the caffeine packed drinks. Like I can't even drink Mountain Dew. I just can't do the caffeine packed drinks.
All right, well, fair enough.
But I can eat Raisin Bran, which the rest of the world should. Here, listen. If you don't like regular Raisin Bran, try Raisin Bran Crunch. Try that. See if you like it. If you don't like it, then just go ahead and tell me what you want in your headstone.
I don't know. I'm still going with the psychopaths. Drink coffee black and eat Raisin Bran for some. Whatever. Let's get to some of our topics tonight. Of course, number one tonight. I mean, this is going to go on for a little bit, and it's actually happening right now as we're live here with Torrey Smith. Is the Panthers continuing to adjust their roster? We've seen over the past few weeks since we haven't been together. Yeah. Adams, Munnerlyn, Funchess, of course, making that big announcement on Cameo. While people like Elijah Hood, Norris, Brian Cox Jr. got signed. What's happening with Darrell Williams? A lot going on. People like Colin Cowherd talking about Antonio Brown. I mean, this is March 13th is technically the start of free agency. Mm-hmm. But here the news comes in today with Torrey Smith, and the Panthers have exercised that option on him. One of the targets of, as far as when you start looking at, if you are a Twitter GM, keep doing what you're doing, by the way, because I'm into that. But, one of the things was you got to cut Munnerlyn, you got to cut Funch. And the third one, with a lot of people, was you got to let Torrey Smith go, because what you have him for is more than you should be paying for him. You talk about his leadership on the field. This season, of course, wasn't a big highlight for him. I think that Philly game, people, you have to at least honor that one. Even Washington, too. He was part of that comeback, too.
He was.
So, thoughts on Torrey Smith, Bobby? This is literally just coming in now. The experience part of it, are we overplaying that? Does that not kind of show on the field? What do you think?
I think everybody needs to relax. I've seen some of the comments, and I understand why the comments come in, and we understand why they're saying what they're saying. But overall, I think we need to take two things into account. This offense really didn't open up until like week 7. Forgive me. What was the week we played Baltimore?
Off top of my head, I want to say it's around 7 or 8.
Okay, so mid-season
86.
is okay. So let's just say almost mid-season, our offense decided to open up. Shortly after that, Cam Newton, is hit. We realize he has a serious shoulder injury. Mm-hmm. So you take it that almost the entire first half of the season, we didn't have a true offense. Okay, when we finally decided to open up the offense, Cam gets hurt. Where was Torrey Smith able to ever be himself in that offense? Beginning of the season, we're still trying to figure things out. We're trying to figure out how Torrey Smith fits into the team, how DJ Moore fits, how Curtis Samuel coming back from injury fits, and they're still trying to get Jarius Wright touches, and we're trying to figure out what's going on with Greg Olsen and Ian Thomas, right? Mm-hmm. So second half of the season, when the offense looks like, okay, it's time, it's clicking, Cam gets hurt. What if that was the time of the year when we were getting ready to stretch the field with Torrey Smith? We never got to see it. So therefore, fans began to call him out. I was one of the guys that said, Torrey does need to give us more, but at what point did he ever have a fair chance to really be Torrey Smith? Well, I don't think he ever got the chance.
And of course, him being on the field, period, in the beginning of the year brought up why isn't Curtis Samuel out there? Obviously, in the very beginning, he had the heart, procedure.
Right.
But as the weeks went on, why isn't he out there? Why isn't DJ Moore getting more of those snaps? Although, on the other hand, first person to confront and actually shove Kazee to the ground in Atlanta was Torrey Smith. So there is part of that where, you did see him very early adopt this Panthers team, stick up for his quarterback. Oh, people like that goes a long way.
I mean, we haven't seen anybody stick up for Cam before. Let's just be honest.
So true.
So it was great.
That's always been a big thing. Yeah. And coming in the comments here, is Jarius Wright still around? Yes, he was re-signed. So you do have Jarius right there. I'm actually a little surprised. I did think that they would move on from Torrey Smith. That doesn't necessarily mean that's my opinion of should they have signed him. I didn't think they would.
But what indication? And this, forgive me, if I'm stepping on some. Actually, I don't care if I'm stepping on toes. What indication what was there from the Panthers that made people think they were going to move on from Torrey Smith? Like, at what point am I missing something here, or was it just fans preferred for them to move on from him? Because keeping it real with you, Torrey wasn't horrible. I mean, we had horrible, which was Devin Funchess in the second half of the season. But let's just keep it real, man. Torrey Smith wasn't bad. Like, I mean, I get that he wasn't what everybody expected him to be, but he wasn't horrible. He had one drop all season, I think it was.
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers. But...
Yeah, he had like one drop the entire season. We saw what he was made of when he was put on the right routes. When we had to come back in Washington and Philly, granted we fell short in Washington, but we saw what he was made of when he's running his routes versus just being out there on the island with Christian McCaffrey catching every pass. Like, we saw what happened when they put him on his routes. He can perform. He can show up. We just have to use the man how he's supposed to be used. And we can't just let a half a season dictate what a guy really is. Like, I just refuse to believe this guy's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. It came up big on 2 different teams throughout multiple seasons. I just refuse to believe that one season with the confused offense the first half of the season, with the injured quarterback the second half, we put that much blame on the guy. I can't do it.
Yeah, and we're going to bring some of these comments on the screen as they come in. Jones says, I think people didn't like his cap number. I think that is a big one.
Well, it's plenty of time to fix that.
I think it's all money with Tori, and yeah, Sheena coming in. What's up, Sheena? Did say Tori did have surgery too, so I don't think we really got a fair cut at that. And then once DJ Moore and Samuel got in there, you kind of look towards the future. So
I mean,
Tori never really came back 100% too. So that is a big part of that. And on top of this, they only exercised his option. I don't see any numbers out there.
Well, I mean, I did see that they picked up the $5 million. Bleacher Report just sent that out about 5 minutes ago. But here's the thing that, it's still, the season doesn't start tomorrow. There's plenty of time to restructure. Yeah. You know what I mean? And what's up, Sheena? Thank you for joining us as well. But it's plenty of time, man. And like she said, he had an injury. And here's the thing. I think if it's all about money, cool, I get it. We're strapped for cash right now, but we also have to keep in mind and remember, I think it was more about the young guys. Everybody was like, put DJ Moore on the field, put Curtis Samuel on the field. And I think the fact that it took some time for that to happen, people kind of started voicing their opinions in a different way. Had DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel not been here, I don't think we would have heard as much Torrey hate as we heard. But big point by Sheena pointing out about that injury. I don't think we gave Torrey a fair shake at all.
Yeah, and I think that he, like I said, did come in with kind of already some eye rolling from people like, oh my God, he's going to take snaps away because Ron favors veterans historically, and he's going to take our snaps away from the young guys. And the way the year started, that did happen. Why that happened may not have been because Ron likes veterans. It may have been because Curtis really wasn't ready to go. Maybe DJ didn't know the playbook, but that did exist. Torrey was taking their snaps. So I don't know. I'm really kind of on the fence on it. I'm not like mad about it, but I don't know. Maybe people.
I mean, did Torrey really take their snaps, or did they just not earn their snaps yet?
That's what I'm saying. We don't really know. So.
You know what I mean? So it's like as fans, we're so quick to say, Ron's doing this and Ron's doing that, and I've been a victim of saying that he plays veterans a little bit longer than he should. But let's just be real, man. Like DJ wasn't ready at the beginning of the season. Like Ron said it himself. He said he wasn't ready. He was still learning the playbook, getting his routes down packed. And I mean, it takes time. We even saw in key moments that DJ came up short. I mean, it takes time, man. This isn't a plug and play league. It takes time for people to learn. Is Torrey Smith worth the $5 million? That's yet to be seen. But I do think Marty and those guys are really starting to focus on these numbers, and it's crunch time for them. So I don't think they're going to let the fans down. I don't think they're going to let the organization down. I truly believe they're going to restructure that contract. Just, it takes time. I think they're making the moves first that they have to make, keeping these guys on the team, and then contracts will be talked about later.
There you go. One of the ones, since we are on the contract deal, on the other side of things, Darrell Williams looking like he will kind of test the free agency market. Panthers didn't use their franchise tag in the period last week, so franchising Williams, I saw that out there on Twitter, but I'm not sure if that's the kind of money you want to throw at him. But how do you feel about him testing the waters of free agency? Is that, you look at what the Panthers were last year, and he kind of was going to be the savior and then goes down. How do you feel about Darrell Williams maybe not being a Panther? Has that been your thought all along, or were you expecting maybe they could work out a deal with him?
I was hoping they worked out a deal, but I was hoping they didn't franchise tag him either.
Yeah.
So, granted, it's not ideal. You don't want to see a guy like that, leave, one of your best linemen. You don't want to see it happen. However, is he worth a franchise tag? No. Is he worth what them saying he'll probably get Andrew Norwell money? We just can't afford that right now, unfortunately. And it sucks because, we talk about, okay, you got to protect Cam, but we're letting offensive linemen walk. The good ones walk, right? Mm-hmm. And we're keeping guys like, Matt Khalil around who people aren't fond of. Listen, at 6'6", 332, guys like that don't just walk through the door. That's not every day that you get a guy with his talent and his speed at his size. However, things have to be, decisions have to be made. And sometimes they're tough decisions. It's not like a Dave Gettleman decision letting Steve Smith walk out the door, letting Josh Norman walk out the door. This isn't that situation. Mm-hmm. This is just a situation where money is a true issue. And, what do we fix first? And again, the draft is right around the corner. Letting Darrell Williams walk, who knows? They don't go offensive tackle heavy in the draft. They could go first, second round or OTs, back to back. So it's just all about a waiting period. We can monitor this, after the draft, then going through May and June, then we can start to speak more on whether these are healthy decisions or not.
Yeah, these next few weeks will be pretty fluid. I believe that's Dave Gettleman's favorite term. But let's move on from that one. The next one, speaking of the draft, is is it's something that's going to come up, I should say, between now and the draft, and maybe for years to come, is something that they were talking about on Wilson and Parcell over on FNZ. Shout out to them for doing this first. We wouldn't want to steal their ideas, so credit to them. But is the Week 17 game against the Saints, right? And how this is going to affect this draft, and maybe if further down the road you look back and say, oh, the Panthers should have had the 8th pick or whatever it would have been, and I get it. Like and the thing that I said, and I did just want to talk about this with you and with you guys online is, I get the advantage of that game being a loss, but I think it can, like the term I said was, it can coexist with the fact that for the Panthers to lose that game, they would have had to basically embarrass the game of football. And punt on second down. I mean, Cameron Artis-Payne walked into the end zone by 3 Saints defenders. Yeah. Samuel was just all alone. Bridgewater was I refuse to believe Teddy Bridgewater's that bad, because he didn't look good.
Do you really?
Well, he's that bad. Good. I mean, you have a Saints team that just could not even get first downs, and I don't know. You're gonna tell you get Kyle Allen out there. I know it was his first real start. He did come in when Heineke got hurt. But, if you're friends with Kyle Allen, first time starting a football game, I don't care what week it is, fighting for his job in the NFL, maybe an audition for another team, you're going to go tell that guy to lose? So at this point, I think that we can be aw, shucks, but to keep bringing it up and being these guys are idiots for winning that game, I just can't jump on that wagon. I mean, and Bobby, right. Do you agree with that, or do you disagree? Because I know that you said you were pumped that they won that game. I wouldn't say I was happy, but I understood why they won. Right?
Yeah, I don't want to hear a damn thing about losing a game for a draft pick, man. Listen, if you're 0-15 and you lose that game, who cares, man? But first and foremost, it's a division game. I'm tired of getting beat by the Saints, to be honest with you. Second of all, like you said, evaluation time. Those guys were, Cameron Artis-Payne, he wants an opportunity on this team. Kyle Allen, I'm sure he would love to be that guy that backs up Cam Newton, and he's showing why he might be better than Tyler Heineke and guys like this. So you have to keep in mind when you see guys who are fighting for a backup role, they're going to play their asses off, man. And that's all Kyle Allen was trying to do. That's all guys like Cameron Artis-Payne were trying to do. Ian Thomas, listen, I don't care about a draft pick when the season's going. And it may sound selfish, but during the season, I don't care about a draft pick. I'm watching this game not to watch my team purposely lose a game. I'm watching this game to watch my team play the best they can, no matter who's starting at quarterback, running back, cornerback, safety. I don't care who's starting where. I'm watching to see the best team of mine that I can see with the guys that's on the field. So I was happy that we won that game. We're sitting at pick 16. We will get who comes to us. There are certain things like trading up. If the Panthers see somebody that they really want in the top 10 and they feel that they desperately need them, trade up to get them.
You can always, pay a little more. I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is it's not like you were. It's not like they rolled out Cam Newton and McCaffrey had I believe 1 reception that game and 4 carries. Luke doesn't play. You get Jermaine Carter out there. Andre Smith was out there for a lot of the game. I think Haynes got in that game. I mean, on paper, they actually didn't try to win that game. And like I said, to lose that game would have basically had to embarrass the game of football. Yeah. They would have literally had to purposely just throw the game. And that's basically what the Saints did. They had nothing to play for at all. They actually have more of nothing to play for because they definitely don't want to get hurt.
You remember how many players dropped for the Saints in the first half?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's my stance on that. I don't want to hear any arguments between now and or even at the draft of should have been the 9th pick or whatever it was. It's
we're gonna hear that regardless.
This is what happened.
We could have had this player. Yeah, you're gonna hear it, man. But reality of it is, I don't understand why people can't wrap their brains around the fact that what's done is done. Move on. Mm-hmm. We had the 16th pick. We can't go back and rewind time. Deal with it. Mm-hmm. Let's figure out who we get at 16. And again, you're not locked at 16. If the Panthers see somebody that they feel they desperately want, they can make a move. Yes, it will cost them, but they can make a move. Let's move on.
Yeah. And actually, let us move on as well. Let's go to our next topic here. One thing I didn't realize, and of course, you have the Fortune 500 companies. But, we have that, which is my play on words there. But you have the you have the curse of the Panthers, right? The never going 500 or above 500 2 seasons in a row. We're very, very well aware of that. But did you know that the Panthers are exactly 500 since Super Bowl 50? 24-24.
Yeah, they brought that up during the season in like week 14.
That's crazy to me. I didn't realize that the irony of us never being able to go or of them flip-flopping on that 500 line so much that over the last 3 years they're exactly 500. So from non-Panthers fans, what I get is it's that it shows that they're just a mediocre team. That Super Bowl 50 2015 year was kind of a fluke. They overachieved. The Panthers aren't really that good, and they are more of a middle of the pack team. We've seen a lot of middle of the pack stats this year. But what does that say to you? That since a record season like that, they are literally exactly middle of the pack. Is that just some bad breaks with Cam's shoulder? Is that the fact that the draft picks since then haven't really hit, or they took people they shouldn't have? We get that a lot with Christian McCaffrey. Will Brinson this week, who we love, friend of the show, says he would never pick a running back top 10. Things like that. The Panthers are sitting there 24-24 since that record year. What does that say to you, Bobby?
First and foremost, 2015 wasn't a fluke. Going 9-7 and winning the Super Bowl or going to the Super Bowl, that's a fluke. Going 15-1, winning 15 out of 16 games, wiping butts, going to the Super Bowl, that's not a fluke. But anyway,
wiping butts.
Yeah, I wanted to say something else, but I forget the kids listen to the show. So, but yeah, anyway, moving on. So, what that says to me is just number one thing is coaching. You have all the talent in the world on the team, but when you can't get the best out of that talent, and a lot of times we argue about we need better players, we need this, that, and the third. But when you really take a look at this roster over the last 3 to 4 seasons, we've had some solid players on both sides of the ball. Reality is we don't have anybody that's getting the best out of these players. And when you don't have expectations that are set, when you don't look players in the eye and say, hey, listen, you're not cutting it. You got to go. And you let that player go when you set the example and you set the expectations, a la Bill Belichick. When you don't do those things, then players become comfortable. You know why? Because the coach becomes comfortable. Because the coach knows the owner is comfortable. And when those things happen and everybody get a comfort level, these are the results you get. And these are just results of middle and upper management being comfortable and feeling like we've done enough for the moment. I remember somebody told me on Twitter, they were like, man, Ron Rivera took you to a Super Bowl. What more do you want? And then it really made me realize that's probably how some of these guys feel. I took you to a Super Bowl. I gave you almost a Super Bowl season. What more do you want? So it's almost like, hey, we did this. Don't forget. And don't forget he's a 2-time coach of the year. And it's like a bunch of, this is the NFL is what have you done for me lately, not what have you done for me in the last 10 years, So, and I think comfort and no expectations and, being relaxed is the main thing. It's just such a relaxed atmosphere. There's no penalty for anything unless you don't wear a tie. That's the only thing you'll get penalized for.
Exactly. We have a comment there up on the screen. Yeah, too much coaching turnover. That does go into it. And I've brought that up before. You look at the Patriots because I always do have to put them as kind of the benchmark.
You have to,
being from here, but even if you're not, I mean that now it's turning over. But historically, they roll out the same crew pretty much, and people like staying there. They could get head coaching jobs like Josh McDaniels maybe, but they decide to stay there. And that goes a long way. And I do think that Ron has kind of gotten a tough end of the bargain on that end, but 2 of his guys getting head coaching jobs in the last 2 years. So, yeah, that's definitely a good point. But, yeah, it's really weird, like I said, that it lands exactly on 500. So we'll see if they can turn that around this year. It is a odd year, so we have that on our side. But, yeah, actually, Sheena asked, will you guys be in Nashville? I meant to say that. Yes, we will be in Nashville, all 3 of us.
Yes.
And we'll be doing some stuff down there, especially for the Riot, too. I know there's Riot stuff going on in in Charlotte or North Carolina and South Carolina, actually, with a few of the chapters. But, yes, we will be down in Nashville at the draft. We'll be bringing some media down there, doing some podcasts, some live stuff, really whatever we can get our hands on. So
yeah, it's going to be pretty dope.
Yeah. Speaking of the draft, though, I spent the weekend watching the Combine, and if you've watched our live show in the past few, I would say weeks, maybe a month, you know that we have our good friend Jared Feinberg from Twitter. He's at JRod Draft Scout. He joins us on the line each week to talk about a position in the draft. But now's a good time because I spent basically the weekend watching the Combine and reruns of the Combine because Sunday was let's just say it was a tough day for me, Bobby. We had Taco Bell in bed. We had the whole deal. So, but I was able to watch the Combine and some of those standouts. And Jared now is on the line again. He's at JRod Draft Scout on Twitter, here to talk about. We're gonna talk about kind of the standouts, and also we haven't touched on the biggest topic, which is offensive linemen. Jared, what's happening tonight, buddy? Thanks for hopping on with us again.
What's up, Jay?
It's gonna be good stuff. So
I can't hear you guys.
You can't hear us.
God dang it, Jay. We're live, man.
he just told me he could hear us. We'll get Jared back on. Either way, I do want to talk about, we're working on Jared on the side. Hold on. I do want to talk about some of the standouts of the draft, Bobby. DK
Are you going to talk about standouts or are you going to talk about good running numbers?
Both.
Okay.
Well, no, I did, besides the 40, well, like, I don't really care about the 40 that much, besides a couple of positions, right? I mean, why do offensive linemen run the 40?
Well,
Does that
we
matter
need to,
at all?
Yeah, we need to make sure. I mean, Christian McCaffrey gets a screen out of the backfield. We need to make sure you can get your big butt down the field with blocking. Yeah, it matters. And also, it matters with moving your feet, shuffling your feet as well. So that stuff helps.
Really? So to you, it does matter.
So let me ask you a question.
How
many
fast
times
an offensive guard or center, like the fact that he can run, I don't know. Obviously, they're not going to put up crazy numbers, but does that really change your pick that much on a lineman?
I mean, it doesn't change your pick, but things coming to mind, like if it's a Super Bowl and your quarterback fumbles the ball, can that center get to the ball? Can that right tackle get to the ball? And again, what happens if you guys fumble and the other team recovers? Do I have a guy on the line that's good enough to catch it, catch the defensive lineman that picked it up? And again, how many times in Carolina have we seen a beautiful screen play, but somebody down the field weren't blocking their man because they couldn't get there? So those things do matter. Is it the end all be all? Nah, not at all. It's not the number one factor, and it's not the last factor you look at, but it's definitely one of the top 5 factors that you would want to look at when making a decision on a guy if he's a healthy choice for the team.
All right, let's see if we can get Jared back on the line here. Jared, you there?
I'm here.
Oh, there he is. All right, the wonders of technology.
What's up, Jared?
Anyway, again, Jared Feinberg joining us to talk about the draft. Now I got to close all my fun stuff. There we go.
Hey, real quick,
up?
and you guys can hit Jared up, man. One thing I love about Jared is, even if he hasn't never talked to you before, like if you send him a tweet, he's going to respond. Like if you ask him about a prospect, he's going to give you his thoughts on him, some of his best numbers, and even sometimes what team he may even work out for best. So that's what I love most about Jared, guys. If you hit him up, he will respond to you.
There you go. Again, and we have it on the screen there, at JRod Draft Scout. Jared, we were just talking about kind of the standouts from the draft, just to kind of list them. The two Devons, Devin White, Devin Bush, the linebackers. Montez Sweat, who has been mocked to the Panthers. His stock rose pretty high, I would say, on Combine Day, as much as you can buy into the Combine. DK Metcalf, of course, who apparently doesn't have only 1.6% body fat. I have 1.6% of his body, but apparently he's not that cut, because that's impossible. By the way, I mean, do you have whatever? I'm not a doctor. I'm not gonna get into that. But then one of your guys, Jared, was polite with an awful showing at the Combine. So now that we've seen some of these guys either do well or not well, how are there any guys that you now feel differently about than you had mentioned to us in the past on this show?
I feel a little differently about Shea Polite. Obviously, the reports coming out of his maturity, character concerns. Polite would probably end up falling either to the late first round or completely out of the first round, and he could fall possibly to as late as the third round. Like, you're a first-round talent, and you're not watching film consistently, you're not working on your work ethic and all that stuff, maturity is a problem. Like, that's a bunch of red flags that teams are like, we're not going to deal with that. Right now, he's basically a high-risk, high-reward type of player.
Okay. And because you did have him, like I said, as one of your higher picks. So he went down on your board. Did anyone go kind of up on your board? I mean, maybe besides the standouts. Well, or do you do that at the combine? You know, does that matter to you?
He didn't really, in terms of how my grade is for him, I still have him as a first-round talent on my board. He's my fourth-ranked pass rusher in the draft over guys like Montez Sweat and Josh Allen. Both had good combines. Just his talent overall, like the way he rushes the passer, his bend, his counters, get-off burst, it's very impressive. There have been some inconsistencies. Not the best run defender, but he is a great tackler in space. Athleticism concerns, I think, should be answered come his pro day at Florida in a few weeks. I don't know when exactly his pro day will be.
Okay.
But Polite, like, he's still a first-round talent. He didn't really move the needle for me on my board, but if I were to do a mock draft right now, I'd either mock him to the Rams at 31 or not even put him in my mock draft at all. Like, that's how much of a stock, or that's how much his stock has been affected.
That's changed in a few weeks. So now that you've seen the combine and you've seen these guys kind of shuffling around their stock right now, this will of course keep shuffling all the way up till April 25th. So one of the biggest things we haven't talked about is the offensive line. We've kind of been saving that. I wanted to see some of these guys at the combine. Again, these things will be changing, but when it comes to the Panthers at 16 still, a lot of people talking about Greg Little from Ole Miss. Where do you stand on the offensive line, and how likely is that a pick for you at 16?
I'll just say this. Greg Little is not it. He is not a very good draft prospect. The hype around him has been around since he was recruited by Ole Miss as a 5-star prospect. He's a big offensive tackle who, before the combine, people were praising his size and athleticism. Now, after the combine, he had a poor showing in terms of athleticism, and his pass sets aren't good. He's very off balance when in his pass sets. He's got solid length, but his extension, his hand placements are very inconsistent. Power to point of attack, a little iffy.
Okay. So you're not big on Little. I didn't mean to go too much on Little. I just know that that's a big popular one. So if the Panthers do decide to go offensive line at 16, who are two guys that you like and could realistically be there?
One is the most popular name, Jonah Williams, and the other is Cody Ford. Jonah Williams has arguably been the best offensive tackle throughout the entire draft process. Some teams are concerned about his length, but he moves very well. He's very good in his pass sets. He is very powerful at the point of attack. He will just dominate you against the run, or for the run, whatever.
Well, Ron does love stopping the run, and apparently that's what he's looking for in this draft. When the Panthers literally couldn't even sneeze on a quarterback, so as far as the defensive side of the ball, so we'll see.
Jonah Williams, if he was available at 16, no question I'm taking him at 16. He'd solidify that left side immediately for the next probably 8 to 10 years. He is a very good offensive tackle. I don't care if he has short arms or not. If he can play left tackle, he can play left tackle, and he can play it pretty damn well. Cody Ford is another guy I mentioned with great length. He's good in his pass sets as well. He's good.
He had a good day too.
Yep. He had a very good day, and his athleticism for his size is kind of rare for a player like him. Remember Orlando Brown last year when the hype around him, it died off after the combine after a poor showing from there. But Cody Ford is basically a better version athletically of Orlando Brown. I would have no problem drafting Cody Ford as a right or left tackle or even a guard. He is very versatile because of his athleticism, and he can play at the point of attack very well.
So, final question. Sorry, we took some time to get you on the line here. Thanks for hanging on with us, Jared. But do you think that they spend that pick on offensive tackle? Do you honestly think that's where they go? And I know we've talked about there's a lot going on right now in free agency, of course, with the safeties. We talked about defensive line maybe being somewhere the Panthers could go in free agency, but just over the course of the week, we've seen some of the big names who probably weren't on the radar, but like Clowney and Lawrence.
I could definitely see Jonah Williams being, offensive tackle, I think, should be the pick at 16. This is a very good draft for pass rushers. Of course, I've said in the past on this podcast, if you get Jonah Williams, of course, like I said, you get your left tackle for the next 8 to 10 years.
We need one of those.
There have been some saying that pass rusher is a much bigger need because we don't have anyone. I don't think that's necessarily true because, Mario Addison, he's all right. He's serviceable. We haven't seen what Abuda has done. We haven't seen what Marquise Haynes has done. We haven't seen really any of the pass rushers that we currently have on our roster, what they're capable of. We just need to wait and see. I'd be fine drafting pass rusher at 16, but if I were the GM of the Carolina Panthers, sorry, the Panthers Twitter account.
You can't say that, Jared. It doesn't fly in these parts.
I'm going to say it anyway. I don't care what they say. So if I were the GM of the Carolina Panthers, I'm drafting Joe Williams at 16. Yeah. He has a real chance of being available there.
I like it. Anyway, Jared, like I said, I started to cut you off sooner than we wanted to. We do have the 9 o'clock time limit here that we try to wrap it up. But again, Jared Feinberg joins us each week. We're looking forward to the offensive line side of the things here. We'll continue to talk about that as the Bobby, you're right over there? I think Bobby just fell over. But
I did.
But we'll be talking about that all the way through the draft. You'll be joining us at the draft. Online with us at the draft, and we appreciate you always hopping on with us. Again, Jared's over at JRod Draft Scout on Twitter. I believe you're preparing that big board, I think. You told me something about a big board. I don't know. We might have lost Jared. Our phone system is struggling big time here, so we'll just move on without him. Again, Jared Feinberg at JRod Draft Scout joins us, and he joins us each week here, so that's good stuff.
Good stuff. We never have these issues when we're not live.
Exactly, yeah. We've actually literally never had an issue with Jared. I don't know what's going on tonight. But, hey, before we do wrap up, I do just want to throw out some free agency things. One of the big topics this week, Bobby, and we'll do this real quick, the safety position, man. My guy Eric Weddle back there, Landon Collins apparently letting go. I don't know what Dave Gettleman's doing over there. He may or may not have denied a first-round pick. I don't think he would have. Maybe I jumped the gun on that Bleacher Report retweet. People were like, dude, Bleacher Report's the worst source of news. I was like, really? I mean,
it's actually one of our only sources of news.
Well, and the fact that I haven't seen Bleacher Report like screw something up that bad.
I haven't either.
A first-round pick, they said, it was a fourth-round pick. Which I guess maybe if you say it like Mike Tyson or something, you could get the wrong. But I don't know, whatever it was, Gettleman's letting Landon Collins go. But again, Earl Thomas, probably want to get younger, but our joke to you, Bobby, was that anyone basically besides Mike Adams is still getting younger. You know, it's a technicality. Honey Badger out there.
Listen, man, I'm tired of these 1-year rentals, man. Like, let's get somebody who's going to be here for, like, I want longevity. You know, look at Clinton Dix. Look at Landon Collins. And I understand we may not have a ton of money to sign guys. Restructure. Get some things done, man. But I'd rather see a guy like come in here, at least get him for a 3-year deal. You know, I'm tired of, trying to build like we're 1 win away. We're not 1 win away from the Super Bowl. We have to realize that we're not. We're a middle of the pack team. And we need some guys in here that are going to be here for more than one season. And let's keep it real. Eric Weddle's at the end of his career. We don't know what's left in the tank. He's not going to get more than a 1-year deal. I'm just tired of that stuff, man. Like, let's stop getting, almost grandpas in here, and let's get some guys who can ball.
Well, Eric Weddle's only 34.
That's only in real life. That's not only in football life.
By the way.
34 years old is not only for the NFL. That's retirement.
Well, I think maybe a couple of years, but yes, you're right.
No, it's not. 34 is only good if you're a quarterback or a kicker. That's it, or a punter.
Eric Weddle made the Pro Bowl last year. He didn't have a great game against
everybody
Carolina,
made the Pro Bowl last year.
True. Trey Boston, though, Darian Stewart actually released by the Broncos today. So, again, finding a free agent safety, it's right in their court. I mean, do you give up on Golden? I don't even know what Rashawn Golden is. Is he?
I don't even know if Rivera knows what to do with him.
Yeah, so I don't know. Speaking with Dave Gettleman, though, Steve Smith on Good Morning Football really let people know his mind about Dave Gettleman. Said he's not a people person. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. You can evaluate talent, but not deal with people. Check that out. It's funny. Colleen Wolfe was like terrified the whole time that he was going to say something very inappropriate. Yeah. And, it was good stuff. Peyton Manning, maybe to Monday Night Football.
Please no.
We'll see about that. Well, hey, maybe that'll take the Olsen pressure off. But, again, hey, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, Lawrence got tied up by the Cowboys. Nick Foles to the Jags, Bobby. People are moving around.
Is that official?
I believe so, yeah. Or I don't know, though. I thought it was Bleacher Report that I read, so maybe it's completely false.
I mean, I saw the same rumor. They threw it out earlier this week about them cutting Blake Bortles to sign him, but I don't know if it's official yet. I do know that the trade for Case Keenum to Washington is official.
Yes, and that just happened as well. Looks like Case Keenum to Washington for Broncos will get the Skins' 6th pick, while the Washington would get the Broncos' 7th pick. So sixth round. What was it? Sixth round? Yeah. I mean rounds. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, because somebody's going to be like, what?
Yes.
So, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's good moves that are being made. It's almost funny because it's almost like Washington and Minnesota flip-flop quarterbacks. But these are good moves. I think that was a good move by Washington because Alex Smith more than likely has a career-ending injury. Mm-hmm. Colt McCoy for them, I believe, is a free agent. And those guys just up in limbo right now. There was talk about them trying to, potentially get Kyler Murray. Then there's talk about Arizona possibly getting them. So I think they made the right move to get a guy who has been a starter, who's, performed in the playoffs and who's also been a career backup before he was a starter in Minnesota. But, it'll be interesting to see how things work out. I mean,
Case Keenum, second in the NFL in interceptions, though.
Yeah, but got to keep in mind he went to an offense that had no clue what they were doing on a football field. So the Case Keenum that I saw in Minnesota is the Case Keenum that I know can still play. What we saw in Denver, let's just keep it real, man. Denver has gone through quarterbacks since Peyton Manning left like crazy. Even when he was here, they even benched Peyton Manning at one point, so their offense hasn't been consistent in a while. So I'm not buying into what his numbers were last year.
Speaking of safety, just had a comment on the screen. I would bring back Trey Boston. I'm down with Trey. I have no problem with that if they bring back Trey Boston.
But here's my question. Do people want Trey back because he can literally ball, or do they want Trey back just because they're fans of Trey Boston because he used to be here?
I don't know. I mean, I think that people see Trey Boston as I shouldn't say.
Because people hated him when he was here. They called him trash.
I was just going to say when he left, many people didn't agree with it, but I think everyone did. And then he played well, so I don't really know. I mean, he did go back with Wilkes, right? I mean, So. And speaking of, you mentioned going to an offense that has no idea what they're doing. Granted, he did have some good players. Can you do anything but feel bad for Josh Rosen? I mean, picked 10th in the draft, goes to Arizona. They have nothing for him. They're the worst team in the league, and then they're likely going to move on from him and just trade
I think
him.
this is the best thing that can happen for Josh
Maybe, I
Rosen
guess,
if he
but
gets traded.
I didn't think of it that way, but
Yeah, Arizona's a dump site. I think this is the absolute best thing that can happen if they trade him. And Washington's name was involved in trade rumors for him too. If they trade Josh Rosen, it's the absolute best thing that can happen for him.
Yeah.
Hopefully he goes to a team, maybe even in New England. Maybe Bill Belichick is like, hey, let me go ahead and grab my potential next stud. Who knows? So I hope he goes to a team that's much better than Arizona. I hope it happens for him.
Getting a lot of Trey Boston comments here, by the way, while you're saying that about Rosen. He Tar Heel legend, as Chris would say. I think that, I have it up now. He's up and down. I think that's one of the big things with Trey is like he was very inconsistent, and that's not what we need back at the safety position. So,
yeah. I mean, and granted, safeties are really only as good as their cornerbacks and especially the slot corners are. So sometimes we can kind of give a safety leeway. Like everybody was talking trash about Eric Reed, and I'm like, listen, man, like it wasn't his fault. He was cleaning up other people's mistakes. But here's the thing about Trey. Has he ever had 2 to 3 consistent seasons where he was good? I'm not asking for great. Yeah. I'm just asking where he was just good.
My problem with Trey, actually, now that I think about it, is my problem with him when he was here was that he was too much of a gambler. He really got bit. And that's exactly what you don't need behind Dante Jackson. You need like a lock, and I want to say veteran that maybe, I don't know why Mike Adams wasn't, but that knows that I'm not going to bite. If you got 2 guys biting over there, that could be a lot of trouble. So I think that if you look at a safety, maybe you don't need that aggressive safety. Maybe you just need the guy who is always in the right spot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the right spot, I can't complain, man. Yeah. Like, there's nothing you can do to complain. Is when you start not being in the right spot, start biting, start missing tackles, letting guys catch over you. Those are the things that I get upset about. But just to be honest with you, Trey Boston had that amazing season in San Diego. Now Los Angeles Chargers. However, so did everybody else in the secondary. So that secondary was stout. That defense was stout. That season he was like a top-rated safety. Things changed last season, so just keep in mind as well as you can look like a not so good safety because of your corners, you can also look like a great safety because of your corners. So I think Trey Boston is too much of a gamble for us to take right now. I would love to see again HaHa Clinton-Dix paired with him. A lot of people want to see Honey Badger. I don't know. But I just think HaHa fits our scheme so well. I've watched him play for a long time. I loved watching him play in Green Bay, even though the years where they had a horrific defense. I loved watching him play. He would fly over the field for those guys, help cover up mistakes. But even if it's not a guy like HaHa, Trey Boston is just not that guy.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do there. I mean, the free agency pool is loaded. The draft has some good guys too, and you got Golden, which again we have no idea. So I'm really curious as to see who starts next to Eric Reed week 1.
It'll be interesting, man.
So, anyway, we're going to start wrapping up here. I appreciate no one saying anything to the abomination of the wall behind me. As you can see, we are midway of refoaming the studio room, but we have this wonderful, terrible-looking space over here. So, this will be looking nice soon. We just had to go live during the construction. The show rolls on, Bobby.
Yeah, and all you good people that's going down to Nashville for the draft, y'all holler at us, man. We'll be down there. We're going to go live, from Nashville, and let's get some good stuff going. Let's get some good food. Let's get some good company, and let's have a good time.
Yeah, we're going to get all our Riot friends together. We'll have a good time. Anyway, Bobby, thanks for hopping on. We will talk to you next week. We'll have Chris back hopefully soon. I did want to throw out. Usually, Chris does Getting in the Sin Bin with Chris, which is a Hurricanes segment, but I will. I'll do a quick one. They lost to the Bruins, so what's up? And that's it. Let's get in the sin bin with Den.
Hey, Chris, we think about you, man.
All right, guys. Hey, we'll talk to you next week. And again, the draft moves on, and we'll hear a lot of these names shuffling. But we'll see if Jared can at least keep us informed. So anyway, thanks for hopping on with us on the comments. Glad to have you guys back up on the screen. We'll do this again soon, and keep pounding. Peace.
Keep pounding.